You ever feel like life should have come with a manual or, maybe a few cheat codes? Well, that's kind of the whole promise of biohacking. These simple tricks to upgrade your sleep, your focus, your mood. But how much of this stuff is actual science and how much is just, hype? Okay, let's dig in.
So, is it really possible to hack our own biology? Can we actually tweak our inputs, what we eat, how we sleep, how we breathe, to get a better output? More energy, better performance, just feeling good? That's the big question we're going to tackle.
So in this explainer, we're going to try and cut through all that noise. We're going to look at the actual mechanisms, the real-world benefits, and the important warnings behind some of the most popular biohacks out there. We're going to use the science to figure out what actually works.
All right, first up, the foundation for everything else, sleep. I mean, think about it. If you're not recovering properly, none of the other hacks are going to matter, right? So let's start by trying to fix that universal feeling of waking up exhausted, even if you thought you got enough sleep.
Okay, so this one's a little weird. Mouth taping. The theory is pretty simple. It forces you to breathe through your nose, which is way more efficient for getting oxygen. But while the idea is compelling, there's not a lot of long-term research, and more importantly, doctors warn it can be genuinely dangerous if you have things like sleep apnea. So powerful idea, but you gotta know it comes with a pretty serious warning label.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. It turns out when you wake up can be way more important than how long you actually slept. All night, your brain moves through these 90-minute cycles. If your alarm rips you out of that deep sleep phase, you know the feeling. You feel like you got hit by a truck, and it doesn't matter if you were in bed for 8 hours. And the cool thing is, you can totally hack this system without any fancy tech. Let's say you want to wake up at 6 a.m. feeling amazing. Just count backward in 90-minute chunks. That means you should try to be asleep by 10:30 p.m. or maybe even midnight. It's such a simple little timing trick, but it can make a huge difference in how you feel in the morning.
It's kind of wild to think about, but for a lot of people, sleep and recovery issues might not need some complicated fix. The real problem could just be a simple mineral deficiency. Magnesium is involved in hundreds of things in your body, but our modern lives, full of stress and caffeine, just drain our supply. If you've got brain fog or you're just not sleeping well, this could be why. But here's a pro tip. The kind of magnesium you get is super important because a lot of the cheap stuff doesn't even absorb properly.
All right, so once you've got your sleep sorted, then you can start thinking about upgrading your brain. So this next part is all about the tools you can use to cut through that brain fog and really find your motivation again.
Okay, when I say creatine, what do you picture? Probably bodybuilders, right? Protein shakes, the whole gym scene. For decades, that's all it was known for, just a muscle building thing.
But what if I told you that's only half the story? What if it's actually a brain supplement? Yeah, the latest science is totally changing the game on this, and it looks like its biggest benefits might not be for your biceps, but for your brain.
So your brain, it is an absolute energy hog. It burns through this fuel called ATP like crazy. What creatine does is it helps your brain recycle that fuel way more efficiently. And what does that mean for you? Better memory, you don't get mentally tired as fast, and it can even help stabilize your mood. And here's the best part. Unlike a lot of those trendy smart drugs, creatine is one of the most studied supplements in the world. It's got a super long track record of being safe and effective.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about motivation. We all think of dopamine as that feel-good chemical, right? But that's not quite right. It's really the chemical of wanting, of pursuit. It's what drives you to do things. The thing is, it needs contrast to work. When we're just constantly blasting ourselves with stimulation, notifications, junk food, social media, our baseline gets so high that normal life just feels kind of meh.
But you don't need to go on some week-long silent retreat to fix this. You can do a simple dopamine reset to kind of recalibrate everything. Just try turning off your notifications for one day. Or do a task in total silence. Take a 24-hour break from whatever your biggest dopamine hit is. Social media, sugar, whatever. It is amazing how fast you can get back your natural drive and just enjoy the simple things again.
All right, so we've talked about the long game for sleep and focus. But what about right now, when you're feeling stressed or anxious and you need a quick fix? These next couple of hacks are like an emergency reset button for your nervous system. We're talking minutes.
Okay, full-body ice baths. They're everywhere, right? They're a huge commitment, and the science is kind of mixed on them. But you can get one of the biggest mental benefits with something way, way simpler, just dunking your face in a bowl of ice water.
And this is not some placebo effect. This is real biology. It flips a switch on a primal survival circuit called the mammalian dive reflex. Your body basically thinks you're diving underwater, and it hits the emergency brake on your heart rate. It's basically a biological off switch for that immediate, overwhelming stress.
Another one of those instant reset tools, it's your own breath. The way you breathe sends a direct message to your nervous system. Something like box breathing is amazing for a racing mind, and the physiological sigh, that's a quick double inhale, then a long, slow exhale, is one of the fastest ways science knows to shut down a stress response. You literally have a built-in control panel for your nervous system, and the best part, it's completely free.
Okay, get ready for this, because this one fact might completely change how you think about mental health. You know serotonin, the happiness molecule? Well, over 90% of it isn't even made in your brain. It's made in your gut.
Yeah, this is all because of something called the gut-brain axis. Think of it like a superhighway of information, this huge nerve called the vagus nerve that connects your gut directly to your brain. The little microbes in your gut are constantly sending signals up that highway. This is how food literally becomes feeling. When you eat junk, you're sending bad signals. It's that direct.
So, we've talked about sleep, focus, instant stress resets, the gut-brain thing. But after looking at all these different tools, we get to what is maybe the most important cheat code of all. And this, right here, really gets to the heart of everything. See, the best biohacks aren't really about buying expensive stuff or trying weird gadgets. They're about learning how to use the incredible machine you already have. Your breath, your sleep cycles, how you react to cold. These are all levers on a control panel that you were born with.
So in the end, the best performance enhancer isn't some pill or a fancy device. It's just a deeper awareness of your own biology. It's about understanding how your body works and then using that knowledge to your advantage. The real secret, the ultimate cheat code, is just paying attention. So after all that, I'm curious, what's the first thing you're going to try?